Let me flip it this way. I hope you can hear me well with this. There's a little bit of a wind. As I had probably shown before, we were talking about the beautiful coastline that I was enjoying. I'm literally 50 feet away from the water. To my right, you have a bunch of people that are in the water swimming, kids as well as adults. So it doesn't really give you a beach approach, but with all these rocks in the background. And I'm going to switch so you can take a look. And you can see over here. You can see the rocks and the people just enjoying themselves in the water. One thing that we're seeing, and my conversation may be premature, but just before I got to where I am, you could easily see in the foreground just people throwing garbage around. So you would think that this beautiful look should be well maintained, and that wasn't the case from what I saw. Over here is pretty clean. I mean, you could see a little bit of stuff, but generally speaking, especially in the area that I'm in, I saw quite a bit of filth and quite a bit of garbage that was unattended to put it bluntly. I need to break it to you so that people really understand what's going on. Very salty. The water came to my mouth. There is no socialism whatsoever in Cuba. I know that the Communist Party and the Central Committee has had, I was given a paper. I have yet to read it, but the essential theme is that building socialism for 2030. Very similar to what China is doing, calling it building socialism. And in fact, so they are in the process of building socialism. And the biggest challenge for Cuba, when I look at the cause that they have, I think it really says it's very symptomatic of where Cuba is. Somewhere in the past, somewhere in the present, not quite in the present, so somewhere in the middle of those two. So that to me is an assessment after 3 days. It is by no means concrete based on evidential characteristics, but it certainly gives you, in talking to people and having very profound conversation with them, this is what is being seen. One of the other features, besides a top-down model of governance in Cuba, and a lot of people on the left have continued to lie about it. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do that. So that's very essential for people to understand what's going on. There are two major features that I think people in the US, progressive, who want to support Cuba, have supported Cuba, but that maybe more emotionally than anything else. But it's important to note that one thing that I've noticed, which is a huge problem, information revolution is leaving Cuba behind. This country is completely put aside from the information age that is upon us. So in essence, how do you develop societies when you isolate people within an island and then you say that you're building something that is incredible? And so that to me is very essential. The second characteristic is the fact that there is a body of structure that the government has put there to sort of work with the population, but it is much more a means of control, which is the committees to defend the revolution. In fact, I don't know what revolution you're defending if it's not the people doing the defending themselves. So it is not for the government to be defending the revolution. It is the population that must defend the revolution. And in essence, what we're seeing is the heavy top-down model really dictates what's going on. It limits the activity. So just to give you a very short, brief understanding of a very, what I would call, is a perceptive reality of mine. But as we move forward, it will change from perceptive reality to a conceptual understanding of what's happening in Cuba. The other thing that I noticed, I mean, if you look at the buildings, I mean, you could say that there's a certain level where these buildings are pretty much densely populated and densely occupied. Couldn't find a park in the area. Didn't have a park that really addressed children, young adults, and adults. So mostly, it almost feels like the parks or that department for the government to occupy is preoccupied with all people who really don't remember their past. So how do you have a center of all these people and you don't have major parks for people to just do things, exercise, to play, to have fun? So that to me is an essential component, or what I think is an element that I think is missing in building urban life. And this is just one experience. So I will be experiencing Havana in a few days, and we'll be able to sort of take a look at what's going on and be able to tell you this is what I think is happening. So let me give you a little bit more scope of the people there. These guys are playing soccer over there, really football. So they're playing football over there and having fun. So, but just to give you an idea of what's going on in Cuba. I'll talk to you.